Vendetta!
I don't usually review new games for modern consoles, but with Final Vendetta I'm making an exception. Not only is it an homage to the beat-em-ups of old, but it was developed by our friends over at Bitmap Bureau, who made the awesome Xenocrisis on the Mega Drive. Final Vendetta is just like the beat-em-ups of the 90s, from gorgeous pixel art graphical style to the gameplay and the music. I've been playing this on Switch, but it's available on all modern platforms. I absolutely love the graphics. Many modern games try to emulate 90s pixel art but give it a modern twist, but this actually feels like it could have been made back in the day. The artwork is crisp and detailed, clearly inspired by beat-em-ups like Capcom's Final Fight and perhaps those on the Neo Geo. In fact, even the name Final Vendetta is a nod to these old games. If you want to go even more old school, there's a CRT filter that adds scan lines to complete that arcade look. The story in Final Vendetta is minimal. There are 3 playable characters: Miller, who's strong but sluggish, Duke, who's the middle of the road character, and Claire, who is the fastest and most agile of the 3. Claire is by far my favourite, as her rapid attacks suit my playstyle, and I found Miller the least appealing due to his slow movement speed. A brief intro sequence introduces the premise. Claire's sister has been kidnapped by an organised crime syndicate called Syndicate, and she ropes the 2 lads into helping get her back. Duke hails from London and Claire is an Essex girl, while Miller is from Canada. The story is set in a fictional London, although seems to incorporate elements from other places. Gameplay in principle is standard beat 'em up stuff: walk right and fight. The controls are somewhat different to the norm though. You have a button for jump and one for attack, nothing new there, but there's also a block button allowing you to block incoming attacks to a point. After a while they will break through your defences. There's also a special button, which is rather oddly named because it doesn't perform your super move as one would expect. What it does do is allow you to attack enemies while on the ground. This is massively useful for eliminating enemies quickly, something which you'll find is of paramount importance in Final Vendetta. Knock an enemy down and then give them a right old shoeing. The special button also throws a held weapon, but to be honest I found weapons almost always useless in this game. Double tapping in a direction sets you off running, and then pressing attack performs a running attack, much like Streets of Rage. Very useful indeed. Claire seems to have an extra attack which is performed by pressing jump while running, which performs this flying knee attack, but the 2 male characters don't seem to have this move. Of course all characters have some sort of jumping attack like a fly kick, which is, as with most beat 'em ups, very useful indeed. Double tapping up or down does a dodge move, which isn't hugely useful in combat, although it is handy for avoiding hazards. Some levels see hazards dropping or swinging into the play area, so you need to learn when and where these occur in order to avoid taking unnecessary damage. And finally there are some button combos. Pressing special and block does a power attack or combo. Press attack and special to perform a reverse attack, and pressing attack and jump executes your super move. This super move is a get out of jail free card, striking any enemies within range. Mastering when to use this is really one of the keys to succeeding. You have a super meter at the bottom left, and when this is filled you can perform these super moves without sacrificing any life. Doing a super without it will result in the loss of some life bar, so it's a strategic decision of when to use it. The game consists of 6 stages and there are no continues, 7 lives and you're done. It's punishingly difficult even on easy. You'll have to utilise all of your moves and tactics to get through this. Destroying environmental objects will reveal some brawler staples like food to replenish your health and valuables to increase your score. There are also other modes to unlock once you've beaten the main game. There are extra lives hidden in the levels too, 1 on each of the 6 stages, so collecting these will prove invaluable. Enemies are drawn well and have set repertoires of attacks that you can learn how to best counter or avoid, although enemy types can be somewhat repetitive. Bosses are varied, and again most of them have attack patterns that can be learnt. Final Vendetta is a love letter to arcade games of the 90s. As I mentioned, the graphics are stunning while retaining that retro pixel art vibe, and the levels are riddled with nods to old beat 'em ups. At one point there's a good old car smashing bonus stage. The game introduces the moves in traditional arcade style, and even the menu fonts are fashioned after 90s arcade games. Lovely stuff. But one of the most 90s things about Final Vendetta is the soundtrack, composed by 90s electronic duo Utah Saints, who, despite being named after a US state, are English. This soundtrack not only fits the game perfectly, but it's varied and very good. It's just like the early 90s rave scene in the UK, electronic dance music with smatterings of techno and jungle. Despite being new music, I found it very nostalgic. Check this out. Overall, I've been very much enjoying Final Vendetta. It's more of a quick blast game rather than being really meaty with only 6 quite short stages, but I suppose that fits in with the arcade style it's aiming for, and I appreciate that. The beat 'em up gameplay, which let's be honest is one of the most important aspects of a game like this, is exceptionally well done. The hit detection is bang on, and the animation and moves are both silky smooth. If I had some gripes, it would be that the enemies could be a bit more varied, as there is a lot of repetition in that respect, and the easy mode could be, well, you know, easy rather than brutally difficult. Other than that, it's well worth your time, especially for those of you that like a challenging beat 'em up, or for straight up masochists. Thanks for watching.